Welcome to Minerva, a monthly show where we discuss the mysteries. We hope to give you enough information that you can go away and do your own study. I'd like to introduce my co-host Duncan.
Hello.
Today we're going to be discussing Skull and Bones.
Oh yes.
Skull and Bones is a secret society in America which is attached to Yale University. It's in Connecticut, so not very far from New York. Mm-hmm. And it's also known as the Order of 322 or 322 and the Brotherhood of Death.
Yeah.
So it's, for years and years and years has held this really kind of secret, sinister society around it. And we're gonna have a talk about that. It's mainly it's for undergraduates to begin with, and then members continue their membership throughout, as far as I'm aware. And it all happens in the spring, where Yale University has what they call Tap Day.
Yep.
It's a day where people have joined the university and they are approached, and someone will tap them on the shoulder and say, "Skull and Bones, do you accept?" And at that point, you've got to say yes.
Yeah.
Or no, but I assume most people will probably say yes to Skull and Bones, and that follows about 2 or 3 years of these people apparently being watched. The members are aware of them, they know they're coming to the university and they know who they are. And so there is already this feeling of whether or not they wanted them in the society, and they choose carefully these 15 people. Yeah. In the 90s, they decided to admit women.
Yeah.
But we were discussing earlier, and you said they still call them bonesmen.
I believe so, yeah.
Yes.
Well, they first tried to bring women in, I believe, in 1973.
Right.
But the older generations stopped it. I think it even got close to a lawsuit of actually stopping women getting in. But so it wasn't until I think early 90s that they accepted women going in.
Yeah, and it's similar to women's Freemasonry. Women's Freemasonry, they still call themselves brothers. They call each other brother, and so very similar. They still call themselves bonesmen, and they meet in a place called the Tomb, which is their building or their lodge in a way, which is near the university, and they've been doing that, for a number of years now, for a very long time. So it's definitely got some real history, and it's definitely got a real mystique around it. It's hard to know where to begin with this one, because there really is a lot to it. But let's start with the 322, because on their emblem, you'll often see a skull like we have here, 2 crossed thigh bones, and underneath 322. Yeah,
which does seem unique. I mean, we see the symbol in Freemasonry, or you'll see it on graves even unrelated to Freemasonry. But that 322 is it? Sorry, 332, 322. That is quite fascinating. The greatest theory I follow for that one is because I think there's even some of their paperwork where they relate it to Demosthenes, philosopher, not philosopher, an orator for Athens, who died in that year after trying to regain or encourage Athens to be power again. And it failed. He died, amongst other people as well. And what happened at that time is they went to the Platonic social system, and someone to remain a citizen, you had to be able to pay 2,000 drachma. Right. So to remain someone of importance, you had to be wealthy enough to do it.
Wow.
Which kind of goes into the ethos of what we think.
Yeah.
And as they actually do use that date, for in Freemason, we have a different dating system from a particular time. They do the same thing from this particular time. So it does seem to relate, not so much to the character, but definitely his death and the subsequent result of it to be it, which seems to be the rich and the powerful. Yeah,
I mean, when they give the members their date of initiation, they do that from 322 BC. So it's a completely different data system, which is very interesting. And again, you do see that in other secret societies. You see that in other societies like Freemasonry, but you see that used quite a bit. So that's a common technique, which tells you that these people are all feeding from the same pot as what's the purpose of Skull and Bones?
It depends on what we define by what's the purpose. I mean, to my understanding, it originated when the founding members had fallen out, because it's not the only fraternity of it.
No, it's not. No.
Which I know you know more of, but
I mean, there are other fraternities in Yale, and I found it fascinating when I looked into this, because they've got names that are just as cool. And they've got buildings which are just as cool. And you just don't hear about them. But there's Book and Snake, there's Wolf's Head, there's Scroll and Key, and there's a number of others. And actually, the ones that I've just mentioned, are more wealthy than Skull and Bones by quite a way.
Really?
Within that society, within that fraternity, they have more money, yeah. You would think that Skull and Bones is the be-all and end-all and the real top thing, but from some of the research I've done, it feels that some of these guys are really, up there with them. It's not... There are lots of different fraternities there, but Skull and Bones is so well known because of the people that have joined it and then gone on.
But is it possible that the reason that the actual fraternity is the poorest is maybe the ethos is a case of you earn as much money as you can to keep it for yourself, and the ideology is a case of you're out for yourself. If you put money towards the fraternity, you could be saying, "Oh, I'm backing other people." Maybe that's again another point of it saying it's.
It could be, and it's one of the things to note is that there really isn't a lot of information.
Yeah.
It's really hard. It's so hard to find. I mean, when we look at the reason they started, we know that there was a falling out between these things. But what is it that they're trying to do? Are they just a fraternity for Yale, or is this a wider system? Is this a much deeper, net of people who are helping themselves once they leave and move on, past their university?
I mean, that is the bigger question. I think the first logic part is just for the sense of an organisation, purely a Yale thing. Yeah. You have to have gone through Yale to do it. Yeah. That singularity of their frat house. Its power and influence, I don't know. I mean, even within our Freemasonry, we know that there's we don't promote it at all, and it is actually condemned. But it's a case of to use it for personal gain. It says if you know someone who's in your lodge or something, would you give them particular just because you know the person? Yeah. But I don't know, there's so much ethos around the Skull and Bones that you think it's like it is promoted to support fellow members. But I don't know if I'm just falling into the propaganda.
Yeah, and that's the issue. I quite strongly believe, and I always use the golf club analogy here for Freemasonry, that people say that Freemasons will scratch each other's backs. Yeah. And they have to help each other. They make an oath to help each other, and that's not true at all. But I think the reason people view it like that from the outside is that Freemasons meet together regularly. Yeah. Just as you would if you played football or golf or with a club. Yeah. Now, if Terry from my golf club was a plumber, and I had a leak, I'm more likely to use Terry from the golf club because I know and trust him, and I know that he'll be there next week and the week and the week after, and I don't have to worry about him running away, and I know he's going to do a good job because he's a friend and we're connected. And it's that common goal that connects us, and it's the same as Freemasonry. I think people do the same with Freemasonry. They'll help each other because they know each other, and they're more likely to want to give their business or work or help to someone that they can trust. Yeah. Because again, they know that for that person to break their trust they've also then got to have problems within their Masonic lodge and that community, or the golf club or the football club and that community. So it makes it more likely they're going to help them out. So to that level, I think that is in society. Yes. But I wonder, and we just don't know, but I wonder if Skull and Bones take a stronger oath to really help each other in further life.
I wonder if that's the case, but would there be that contradiction in the sense of, do they promote helping each other or promoting an idea of exploiting each other? In the sense of when, because of course the other thing is when you're at the university or the college, in this case, you're at one of the most fundamental times of your life, isn't it? It is. It defines you in particular ways, and also as we get older, it's a time of reflection. It's one of the greatest times of our lives, and so I can imagine there's another bonding aspect with it. But I must admit, considering some of the other rumours that go around with it, like a sense of, was it the crooking?
Yeah,
isn't that?
I mean, let's move into that. Crooking is stealing bones, body parts, skulls, from graves.
I mean, they're meant to have, was it I'm not sure.
Geronimo.
What was it? Is it Che Guevara's?
Yeah, and there's a number of different people, and apparently those are still within the tomb.
Yeah, exactly.
And I believe that Geronimo's distant family, not too long ago, actually put a court case together.
Really?
To say, we want the bones back.
Wow.
And before it could it got to court, but before it could get any further than that, the judge said the law for actually going and grave robbing was started, after it happened. So even if we were to say that they did it, it would have been lawful at the time. So it never got any further. So all interesting stuff. Let's get into the real nitty-gritty, the ritual.
Yeah.
We know nothing about it because we've looked, we can't find the ritual, but there are so many stories.
Yeah. I believe, wasn't it, it's like the 1970s or 80s, there was, someone had got hold of some documents from it, and they held on to them for a period of time thinking that it would expose the exposer if it got released. But that's the closest of any real evidence. But even they don't convey any ritual format. And so there's a certain, apologies, but it's almost a slight admiration that there's something to have survived so long that can instill within its members so strongly this oath of secrecy. I mean, we can't even do it with Freemasonry. I know our numbers are so much greater, but to not know anything is...
No, it's very strange, but that does lead you down that path of thinking, well, these rituals must be very special or so either fulfilling or give so much away about you as a person that you wouldn't want to tell. There are rumours of people lying in open coffins naked, rumours of people having to masturbate, rumours of people fighting in mud, and all sorts of things. One of the things I said earlier in The Good Shepherd, the film, the Skull and Bones Society featured quite heavily in this film about the CIA. And at one point, there's all the members standing around a balcony and they're urinating on the guys as they're fighting it out, which is, and the main character, who's played by Matt Damon, really doesn't like it.
Well, yeah.
As you can imagine. So these films and things like that only help to perpetuate this feeling.
Because we know that it's hazing is a thing that is common for what we hear about frat houses in America, where normally there's paddles, isn't it, where you get whacked by a paddle on an initiation sort of thing. So I suppose there is a possibility. I mean, if there's not so much a spiritual element, but maybe they are so degrading. The reason you don't talk about it is that there's no way on earth I ever want anybody to know what that is. I mean, that could easily perpetuate a secret.
Of course, and then there's another darker side to it, and I haven't gone too deep into this because I really don't want to believe it in many ways. But there seems to be a kind of Nazi element.
I remember you saying.
There's a rumour of them having Adolf Hitler's silverware. And again, a bit of a rumour. There's also a rumour that during the wars that members of Skull and Bones played parts in the banking system to actually help with German, the German side of the war, which is, again, very strange. And there's this kind of feeling of a master race that goes that goes through some of the philosophy you hear, which is all quite worrying, really.
It is. I mean, we look at the symbol itself, again, the skull and crossbones. I mean, we familiarly see it on the Nazi uniform, but unfortunately we also use it in Freemasonry. We don't want to draw a parallel between the two at all.
It's a memento mori, isn't it? It's a remind yourself of death and those sorts of things. So,
but it's this concept of superiority does seem to run hand in hand with this this order. But if they're willing to steal bones, then of course the idea of holding on to this other stuff would, it's disturbing to think of. But I can, I hope it doesn't make me sound peculiar, understand the fascination of something of we know there's certain levels of mysticism that Himmler was very much into, and the laying out of his, so that if you want to draw that parallel going through, from a research perspective, it's exciting. But on the reality point, it's a shiver down the spine.
It definitely is. There's also looking at some of the other connections there with the way that the society was set up and the way that it sort of breeds its members, so to speak. I find the parallels of a lot of these people becoming top businessmen, top politicians, quite strange as well. Because when we look at other society, I know we're drawing the parallel a lot with Freemasonry, but that's quite an easy parallel to draw, so it helps people understand. In Freemasonry, it's known for philosophers and thinkers and politicians and, businessmen, etc. And there seems to be a wide variety of people within Freemasonry. There seems to be less of a variety. The real famous people that have come out of Skull and Bones all tend to be real top businessmen or politicians. Yeah. But I believe that you said that you found something else.
Yeah, there was a quote in one of the, I think it was either a quote from a Yale book, but they're saying that it wasn't just politicians. Well, because of course we're looking at they're at Yale. They haven't gone to their careers yet, but of course, so many presidential. I think there's one point where both presidential candidates were both members of the order, but of the fraternity, I should say. But no, in the list it was also showing that they tried to pick out the top athletes.
Right. Okay.
But the drive to be a top athlete is again about faith in yourself, the drive in yourself. Yeah. And if you are looking for that ritual-like person, to have that sort of the epitome of a physical ability as much as an intellectual one, still pushes it through. Plus, there's no harm in having some muscle at the door of your fraternity to keep things quietly.
That's very true. One of the other fascinating things is in the past, the members have actually been asked if they are. So we found out that the Bush family, etc., are involved, and lots of people. And to camera in the past, journalists have asked them, "Are you a member of the Society of Skull and Bones?" And they can't say. They always say, "Well, the membership is private, and we can't talk about it."
Yeah, I mean, I've read that, but I've also read it where they've turned around and said just slightly different sense of yes. But that's as much as I can say. It's a secret society.
They will not tell you anything else, which is just fascinating.
And it is. And the concept that, I don't know if our day and age, the journalism will get more, no, talk about it. You have to. You're in a place of office. I mean, we get pushed on Freemasonry so much saying, you must disclose, you must let these things out. But it seems at the moment it's acceptable if you say, I was a member of Skull and Bones, that's it, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And that's accepted.
It's really strange. But I think Skull and Bones are one of those fraternities which will always fascinate people like us. Yeah. Because of that hidden secrecy, that behind closed doors feeling. And part of me really hopes that it continues, because I don't know if we really want to know.
Oh, exactly.
Sometimes the truth is a lot, a lot meeker than the stories that are out there. So I do enjoy having these discussions about places like Skull and Bones, because trying to find a bit more information and always trying to delve deep into it is really interesting. It gives people that are watching our video something to go away and look at as well, because there is more to find. There are books that you can watch, read, videos that you can watch about this, and there have been different documentaries over the years which have been quite fascinating. Yeah. So it's been a very good debate. And it's been very enjoyable to certainly learn about Skull and Bones as well. So thank you very much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you next time.